Okay guys, when you decide to choose the most appropriate channel of communication, remember, you have to hit these following, yeah? Okay, the first one, all right? You have to consider all aspects of communication process. That means the interpretation, the understanding, and also the feedback, which I have covered just now. And the next one, you have to think carefully about all the possible barriers, okay? And the next one, you have to evaluate the complexity of the message and decide how it might be best conveyed. For example, you got to know that your best friend's mother passed away and your best friend doesn't know about it. So it's complex, right? So the message is a bit complex for you to convey to your friend. So how is it that you want to decide the best way to convey the message to her? Okay? And remember also of the possible barriers. Remember also about the understanding or the interpretation, and also the feedback will be given by your best friend regarding the message about her mother's death. And also, remember, ask yourself these questions. Who? Who are you going to talk to? Okay? The next one, why? Why do you want to talk to her? Why do you want to communicate with her? The next one, what? What are you going to talk about? So what is the message that you want to talk about to your friend? How? How are you going to talk to her? Do you want to use written? You want to use visual? Or you just want to talk to her orally? Okay? Or combination? Okay? And where? Where are you going to talk to her or to him? At the party? In the classroom? In the office? Okay? And last but not least, when? When are you going to communicate to the person? Okay? The limit time also. For how long? The whole day? For 5 minutes? That factor is quite important as well. The next one, you have to determine whether you are meeting or are you writing to the person that you want to communicate. Alright? Because it is important, because if you were to communicate via face-to-face interaction, then you have to consider the facial or the gestures as well. But if you decide to communicate with a person through written communication, such as letter, you want to send emails, or you want to send memos, okay, then you should consider the language usage as well, okay, whether it should be formal or non-formal. And then, lastly, you must make decisions about the most appropriate channel of communication, okay, such as cost, okay, time, confidence. Are you confident enough to communicate with the person? Convention, urgency. Is it urgent or is just something that you want to talk about because you're bored? Okay, and also whether written documentation is required. Because if written documentation is required, then you need certain skills, especially written skills, before you can actually write down the message through documentation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we go to the next slide where you have to differentiate between oral and written communication. What do you mean by oral? Oral is you speak with your friend. You have sounds, you have words uttering from your mouth, okay? But not necessarily only through audio, but you can also use sign language, okay? And what's the meaning of written communication? Okay. Now, what do you mean by oral communication? It means that conveying ideas, thoughts, and information through a spoken language. Next, what do you mean by written communication? Anyone? Written means documentation. So for example, information is exchanged using written symbols through words and sentences. Written symbols, remember that. Next, sharing and exchanging of written symbols between individuals and also between groups. Okay, because you can read everything. Okay. Next, presentation of ideas in a coherent manner in written form. So all these three are referring to written communication. Next, so what are these? The first one, letters. Okay, can be shared by everybody or just read through individuals. The next one, emails, can be sent to the whole world in a written form. Writing a report or perhaps advertisement. So all these are the forms of written communication. Next, basic tips on writing. You have to read extensively. If you do not read, then you cannot write. Because through reading, you can gain experience and exposures to all the writing styles. You read a novel and you'll be surprised that reading a novel is totally different reading a newspaper or reading a report, because the styles of writing a novel and the style of writing a report is totally different. So you have to read extensively. Do not focus only reading one type of reading material such as magazines. You have to read all types of reading materials. Even storybooks, children's storybooks also is considered reading materials. Even the lyrics of songs also is considered reading materials. So remember, if you want to write more efficiently, then you have to start to read extensively. Next, grammar and spelling. For the first time to write English, don't worry about the spelling and the grammar because you are just starting. So remember, do not be afraid of this grammar and also the spelling of English. But you will be trained from time to time, yeah, to avoid making grammar and spelling mistakes. So don't worry about when you want to first starting out writing English materials. Next, brainstorm the points. For example, you are given a topic on how to preserve water. Brainstorm all the ideas, brainstorm all the points and write it down. It doesn't matter. You don't have, you remember, you're not writing an essay yet. You're only brainstorming on the points. So whatever ideas or thoughts that you have, write it down on a piece of paper. Okay? Next, then later on, you will be taught how to acquire the writing process from topic 3 onwards. Okay? So remember, do not be afraid. Don't ever think that you cannot write an essay in English. You can write because this course will guide you all the way until you acquire how to write a beautiful essay. Next. Okay, guys, are you ready now? All right. Now, it is undeniable there are certain pitfalls in writing, in the writing process. But however, these pitfalls can be avoided. Now, what are the pitfalls? Now, the first one is confusing language. Confusing language here is when the students tend to use bombastic language. Yeah, they are so ambitious in writing essay. So, okay, now some students, they are so excited writing for the first time, yeah, and they tend to write words that are bombastic. Okay, they tend to write words that are vague, okay, and exaggerated words, inflected words, and also archaic words. So remember, students, when you want to write essays for the first time, please use plain, good English. Because certain words are not suitable to write in certain essays, for example, the words used in reports is totally different to be used in a novel. It's totally different when you want to write memos. So remember, stick to the plain, good English. All right? Next, we go to verbosity. What is verbosity? It sounds so bombastic to you? Well, it's a simple word actually.